What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. It's episode 710 of the O Show. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Jack O'Hara TV. We are live at the Hot Chicken Old Town Scottsdale, Arizona. Mel Rodriguez, Torey Varner. Welcome to the program. Thanks so much for joining me.
Say if you start something, finish it, and if you don't like it, then try something else. But don't start it and then quit halfway.
Yeah.
Just finish it out and then figure out if you like it. Same with dental hygiene. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it. I'm like, all right, I'm in someone's mouth, but I did like it. And here we are. I had patients that fly in from California, Vegas, just to see me. So.
That's a good reputation right there.
Yeah, I tell them they're crazy. I'm like, I have plenty of dentists you can go see. They're like, no, I don't trust them.
Do you almost have like that, what is it called? Imposter syndrome, where it's like people are flying in from all over the place and you're like, wow, I really have to live up and make this experience for them, because like in your heart of hearts you're probably like, am I really that worth it?
I know, right? I'm like, oh geez, guys.
It's a humbling experience, so to know that people are committed to you, and everything you've done is like paid off. And all the hard work that you've put in since you were 16.
Yeah, it's true.
It's difficult too, like, because in my heart of hearts too, people will introduce me to people. I'm like, wow, you're established. I am not, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, if you think we're on the same level, because we're not,
Yeah.
And you kind of just have to fake it till you make it, almost like that old cliche.
Yeah. And dental hygiene, I mean, God, I can go on for stories, but like, the biggest test of like your life is your board test, right? It's like this huge board, so like, there's like the 9-hour test, but the one is hands-on. You have a patient and you get to take this test once a year only. I had a patient, he was actually a student at my school, so I was like, he won't, he'll show up. And then I paid 3 backups to sit there. The day of my board, he called out and all my backups I paid to sit there did not show up. So I show up to my board exam and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna show up with no patience and like just figure it out. And so I happened to talk to some other student from a different school, and she's like, I have an extra patient that I pay to sit here. I'm not using them. Do you want him? And I was like, bring him on. Let's do it. And so it's funny. Like every career I've done, I've hit something. It was never easy. And people, they look at me. They assume like, oh, Mel, your life's so easy. Everything's given to you. No, people only knew everything I've ever done it's been very difficult. Or I filled out things, and it's like it's insane. But yeah, that was probably the first time I like had a breakdown. I was like, I'm gonna have to go fly to Texas now to take this board exam. Like, what the heck? So.
And what about now when it comes to traveling? Like, you were gonna go to Nashville this weekend, but you're like, I'm too pooped to do that, so I'm just gonna take the weekend off, take care of things around the house, just relax.
Yeah, I love traveling, but sometimes you need like a break from your traveling, Like I was just in Miami for Bays in Toyland, then we were in Puerto Rico, and then I just shot for a magazine, I guess I can say it now, Max Magazine last weekend. So
Is that all?
Yeah. And so this weekend I was like, you know what, we don't need to go to Nashville. We were going to go do some model interviews, but I think I needed a break. Torey knows that.
See, that's why she's here. It's like you need someone to kind of...
Yeah, bring me back in. Come on, Mel. I know.
Someone who's like in there day to day, like you go home to your husband, he's probably like, oh, you're fine, just... It's burnout, it happens.
Yeah.
He probably deals with a ton of pressure too with clientele.
Oh, for sure, especially in Scottsdale.
Day in and day out. Oh my God, out here.
Don't get us started.
Oh my God. The pressure of just like doing the right thing in his profession, but at the same time dealing with dealing with egos. I said it before. It's like, especially out here.
Absolutely.
They're everywhere.
I mean, here's our role in our office. So our office is a little different than our typical dental office, and she's a patient also. Our music is different. We play our own playlist. Sometimes patients are like, can you play that? And we're like, absolutely, we can. Our dog comes in as he's requested as emotional support dog. Our whole office is chill. We just have so much fun. And so if you don't fit our vibe as a patient, you probably shouldn't come to our office. No egos, keep that at the door. We're just like a big family, even with our patients. Half this city is our patients of ours, so I don't know. It's like well-respected environment.
Is there anything else that you guys would want to do in the sense of like dealing with all of these people all the time? It almost gets to a point where you're dealing with so many people and not on the same page with people, and projects don't come together because it is a team effort, and that there's 1 or 2 people that don't have the same passion for it. It could fall apart and crumble. Were there ever any times where the toxic part of your brain was just like, oh, it'd be so much easier to just do this? Was there anything else that you guys wanted to do while building stuff?
For dental or overall?
Just overall.
Overall.
That would be easier, like the safe choice to go into.
I mean, there's always that safe choice, but I feel like we never pick it. It's just, I don't know.
I mean, yes and no, same thing. So I'm a nurse, so we both, that's why we kind of vibe on the same wavelength. It's like we both have the medical backgrounds, and then we also do the model stuff and have, 5 other hats. But I feel like when you build something that you're proud of, whether it's the model, Mel Media Agency or dentistry or, my injectable stuff, you create this culture and you create like a brand for yourself and you're proud of that. And we both love what we do, so I can't really picture doing anything else.
Yeah. And I feel like we're both very like hard-headed, as I call it.
Yeah.
We want to do something, we do it.
We're gonna do it.
And even if I know it's gonna take 5 years to get where I want to get, we're gonna do it. Mel Media is still a baby. That's barely 2 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm hard on myself, and I'm like, gosh, I want to be here, here, and here. They're like, Mel, you literally just started this company. You'll probably get closer to where you want to be in 5 years. And I'm just, like, okay. They're like, you're blessed to be where you're at just in 2 years. You're working with Keelan River and all these big, athletes, and they're like, people don't get that in less than 2 years.
Yeah,
Well, a year.
you already have the reputation. You built the relationships with people, and now it's like all coming together. Like whatever, like the peak of Mel Media is going to be in the next, I don't know, 5-10 years. It's probably something that you haven't even envisioned yet.
And we have a lot of ideas. We're like, just chill out. You guys will have to see in the future. They're exciting.
Well, what are some of like the big dream things that you guys want to do?
Some we can't discuss, but some that we can kind of talk about is, like a TV show.
Nice.
Our whole team is just super fun, outgoing, like kind of like, you're like, I love to talk to people. Like, we want to do that, like filming and traveling, going to different places and interviewing people and highlighting them. We just, I don't know, we love interacting with people. So definitely a TV show.
Are you both extroverted?
Mix.
When you want to be?
Yeah. We're both very outgoing, but we both, like, when we know we need to, like, reel it in and take care of ourselves, I think we do a good job of that.
Yeah.
We'll be texting
when
each
to
other
stop.
after a long
I
weekend,
know,
or
we're
we're
like,
working 20-hour days sometimes, and we're like, are you good? Are you good? Okay.
I know, right?
Refresh.
Yeah, definitely both. It's so funny. Like, I'm that person, if I go somewhere and there's like the table in the middle and the center of everybody, and then there's that back table right over there, that's where I want to sit. I want to be able to have my back against and look at everybody. I don't want to be in the center of attention, but I just want to be back enough where I can hang out, so everyone laughs at me. They're like, we would think you would want to be here, and I'm like, I know. I don't.
No, just attract. Don't chase people. Don't be out. Like I grew up with 2 parents, one insanely introverted, one like way too extroverted for her own good, right? Like we'd go to baseball games, she'd plop herself right in the middle of the bleachers, start talking to everybody else. My dad's like 2 fields over watching with like a black hat and just by himself. I'm like, oh, what's Dad doing? So like I kind of got a mix of that. Complete introvert growing up, but like I know when I have to be on, I could be on and conversate with just about anybody. And I find it very fun. Like it is a passion of mine. And like 10 years ago, if you asked me this is what I'd be doing, no way.
But you have the energy, and I feel like we all kind of have that in common. It's like that people are drawn to you. It's not necessarily you're like, hey, look at me, I'm here. But it's people want to talk to you. They want to know more. They want to, what's Mel up to? What's Torey up to? It's a different type of. You're not necessarily like extroverted, but it's just people are drawn to your energy.
What made you want to do this?
I don't know. I honestly,
It's like the
you couldn't get like 2 words out of me growing up. I'd come home and be like, hey, Jack, how was your day? Good. Like, you want to talk about it? No.
Nope.
Go right upstairs. But I always knew since I was 5 years old growing up, whether it was like sports casting, having my own talk show, watching late night shows growing up, I'm like, I want to be a talk show host. And it's like, but I don't know how to talk to anybody yet. And like that was always just the plan, and then I kind of just spiraled. I remember when I started this 7-8 years ago, I'm like, I'm going to do this till the day I die. I don't know what it's going to come to. I don't know if I'm going to ever make any money off of it. I don't know if I'm ever going to meet anybody worth talking to, but it's like, I'm just going to do it because it's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now I'm fortunate enough to do it full time, not because I looked at it from like, oh, I need to start a business, but because it was just a passion of mine. It's something I wanted to do.
And that is like the best journey, right?
Yeah.
You don't know where it's going. You're just going to do it because you love it.
Some people have no idea. They're like, how did you do that? It's like, I love doing it.
Yeah.
It was never like, I never thought, because I wasn't even thinking about making money off of this the first few years. Like I was in college working a ton of odd jobs. And I'm like, well, I have my own talk show on my resume, And I just love doing it. And then eventually a few companies come after you. You're like, oh, this is a business. Like I can actually turn this into something where I can do it for a living and not have to have a desk job or something,
Absolutely.
So it's difficult at times, but it's like the passion and the love for it always trumps the adversity that you have to battle in the midst of everything.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. That's so exciting. That's awesome.
What was the most difficult part for the two of you individually, starting what you wanted to start, whether it be financially, dealing with people, self-doubt even, because that peeps in 9 times out of 10 all the time, even when you are succeeding?
I mean, yeah, probably financial in the beginning, to be honest. You know, like I said, my parents got divorced, and it was kind of like, you know, not fend for yourself, but kind of figure it out. So I worked 2 jobs to pay for school books because I told myself, first get like a, you know, a good job, and then not like a backup, but you know, something you like. And
A plan B.
A plan B, yeah. And then plan B ended up being something I really love, you know. And then I can finish out my modeling. And honestly, I had no idea I wanted to get into the media business. Like, I caught myself when I would model, I was my own creative director. At times I would be like, hey, let's try this, let's do this. And they like, the photographers would laugh. They're like, we don't even need to like tell you what to do. And so I was like, wait a minute, like, what would it be like to be on the other side of the camera? Like, direct and like pick the poses and the looks. So then I just like fell in love with it. And so because I model, I feel like I can help models get comfortable in front of the camera and teach them, you know, things that I wish somebody would have taught me. And so, you know, but yeah.
You almost think of that though, because I'm the same way, where it's like I didn't really have a mentor, quote unquote, doing this. I kind of just like figured out what worked and what didn't work on my own. Where it's like you're almost thankful that you went through it that way, but like in the moment it's just so hard. Like you're just trying to figure out everything on your own, when it's probably 10 times easier to surround yourself with a few different mentors who've been through it, even though they're like the successful ones are hard to find.
Oh yeah, and you learn the hard way in everything. You know, I'll try something and I was like, well, that was a waste. Like, why did I spend money on that, or why did I do that? But I mean, and it's funny, you know, living in Scottsdale, everyone's like, oh, your fiance must have invested in your business. They wanted to, and no, actually, I won't even let him pay for anything that's business, or any. He's like, and he, you know, he gets mad, and I was like, no, I want to be able to say like I did it on my own. I did this by myself, you know, and so like, I don't, and he respects it, you know, and I always say that's why it's taking me a little bit longer, you know, because like I am doing it literally all by myself. I feel like Torey's very similar too, you know, she likes to do everything on her own.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of the high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
You gotta take the risks to, you know, even when I lived in Ohio, I was like, I'm not happy here, moved out here, and I feel like everything just took off. You just gotta take the leap, start your company, do the things, put the effort in, and if you keep trying enough times, like, it'll come through. Put in the effort and it'll be there. It might take you, some people 5 times, it might take some people 105 times, but it'll get there.
Oh yeah, that's what keeps you alive too.
Right.
You know, even when things aren't going great, you just gotta like hype yourself up. Like, oh, I see the vision at the end of the tunnel. I've envisioned what this is gonna turn out to be. Like, I'm not stopping until I get there.
Well, that's like when I moved to California. Like right after dental hygiene school, I was like, I want to live somewhere else before, like, you know, I get older, however you want to put that. And yeah, I packed my car, drove to California. I had no idea what other than I had a Monster Girl job there at the time. And I was like, all right, let's figure this out. Literally packed my car as I drove in, had a Monster Girl event that night, then found a place in Newport Beach. I just like literally went with it. And then I realized like I couldn't transfer my license like overnight. So it took me a whole year. And yeah, I mean, it was scary. I have no family there at that time. I didn't really have a lot of friends. But just by doing that, I have almost the same amount of friends in California that I have here.
Isn't that crazy?
It's weird. Like I go back there and I feel like I'm at home. So,
that's how I feel with Vegas right now. Like I'm going almost every weekend. It's like I have just as many friends and a strong community out there than I do in the place where I actually live.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Like Nashville too, I have a ton of great people out there.
We need to take them to Nashville with us.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Do some walking interviews, right?
Oh,
That
just
would
on
be
the street,
awesome.
everybody's wearing their cowboy hats, cowboy boots. I love it. I honestly, my brother used to have an apartment right on Broadway, like right where all the bars are. So we would just hang out and meet people and introduce ourselves to musicians just playing, because everybody will play really cool cover songs.
Yeah.
It's like honestly whatever you like, you'll find a bar that's playing exactly what type of music that you're into, which is really cool. Like I said, Nashville, like the Strip or whatever you want to call it. What do they call this? The Vortex. Old Town
the
Scottsdale.
Vortex.
I just learned that. I kept calling it like the Strip in Old Town. They're like, it's the Vortex. Like I said, I've been here like a combined 10 times in 7 years since I've been out here.
Yeah.
But the Vortex here is like Broadway's there, the Strip, like it's Basically what this is, except it's all a little bit older people who are a lot more mature with their money and their decision making. They're all drinking responsibly and everybody's kind of cool, which is really nice.
I feel like I'd like that better.
Except the people that migrate from here for a weekend, then you're like, oh, those people are from Arizona.
Right.
I understand that vibe.
Yeah.
Different breed of people out here.
Seriously, but gotta love them. Especially if you're a foodie out here, this is great.
I know.
You can never be bored in Scottsdale, especially the Vortex.
That's all right. So, honestly, I grew up right outside Manhattan in New Jersey. Didn't really, like I was telling you, nobody really had like the entrepreneurial drive to start their own stuff, or it was like looked frowned upon almost. Like everybody's parents were just like, oh, it's not gonna work out.
Yeah.
Just get a job, get a 401k, Roth IRA. I'm still learning all of those terms too, so I'm like, I really don't know what those are. But it's tough because nobody really gives you the confidence or the boost to do that stuff. And then you come out here, everybody's doing it. The weather's great. Everybody wants to collaborate with each other. It's like, oh, like these are my people.
Good energy.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Did you have that in Ohio growing up at all? Midwest, I feel like it's kind of a mix of.
Yes and no. I have some friends. I think too, it's like all you surround yourself with, and every year that I get older, a lot of my friends are entrepreneurs now. So that makes a huge difference. But having a nursing background, not as much like my friends that I was in school with, because they go straight into the hospital. So I kind of went an untraditional route, doing injectables. So I'm, an entrepreneur within that field, and meeting people like Mel and other friends that have their own, niche business, whatever that is. It's, you can bounce ideas off each other. We're all supportive. I'm posting dental for her and media, and I'm modeling for her sometimes, and she's posting, about injectables. It's good to have that community, and super essential, I feel like.
So how did you guys meet?
I don't even know.
Injective. You were giving me filler in my lips.
So it was like a natural meet. It wasn't like, oh, I reached out to you on social media. Or
It was mutual friends.
Mutual friends, and we started with a collaboration actually as we've been talking, and I did a little video for her for my lips, and I was like, wow, she's actually really good, like really good, and so we're both like science nerds, we call it. Like if someone can go through and like explain things, and so you're just like, you have so much knowledge about what you do, you must really like what you do, and you know exactly what you're doing.
Cause like nerd out on that. Like,
I mean, I've seen some bad lips, and we're just like,
honey, like, let me fix
start all
that.
over. Let's dissolve those. But that, and then from there, she became one of my models, and then from there, a dental patient, and then her work ethic is amazing. Yeah. She's reliable, and I was like, hey, do you want to be my model manager on top of these things? And she's like, sure. And so it just went from there, and now like a friend, like someone that I can trust. So. Yeah, it's great. It's
always fun meeting people who share a similar, like the same drive, but not necessarily the exact same thing. I feel like you guys have passions and like almost the exact same stuff almost. Yeah. I find myself hanging out with like 40-year-olds who are just like, oh, I'm making content too. Let's work together. What are you doing right? What am I doing right? I'm like a 24-year-old kid. Like I'm going out on the town tonight with my 50-year-old friends, and it's just like I connect way better with these kids than I do 24-year-olds. They're just partying it up in Scottsdale tonight. So
makes sense though.
It's weird, but it's a way better story than just going through life.
Working
till Friday. Working for Friday, I'd say, right?
Right.
Those people that are like 4 more days till Friday. I'm like, I don't like you.
Right.
I don't even have a Friday. I don't have a weekend, it's like...
You don't even know what day it is,
I don't
right?
know what day it is, literally. My team would be like, Mel, no, it is not that day yet. I'm like, oh, God. But, I mean, like I was telling you earlier, it's like, you're like, did you work today? I'm like, well, I kind of work every day. It's more of like you have like the hours off, or unless like I force myself to go on vacation on the weekend because, my husband is a dentist, so that's when we do go. But I like that. I wouldn't change it. You need to have a balance. Yeah. That is one thing that I learned last year. There was a year that I was sleeping 4 hours a night.
Tough.
I was go. I was like, I have to complete everything before I go to bed. Like I had like my own set rules. And you know what? And I just got sick one night, and I was sick for like a week. And then I was behind. And then I was like, you know what? You don't need 4 hours of sleep. Like just take your butt to bed and finish it the next day. It's a balance. So
that's tough. 4 hours.
Yeah, for a year. I don't know
do
how
you
I
get
did
to a
it.
point where it's like your body almost fails you, where you're like, I gotta take a rest?
And I got sick. I mean, my team was like, Mel, you were like swaying while you were walking. I was like, that can't be good. But in my mind, I was like perfectly fine.
I mean, the brain tricks you.
Yeah, I mean, to top it, I would get up and work out with my fitness trainer every morning, and then grind all day. So it was go go, go, go.
Yeah, mine came like 4 months ago, honestly. I had what I now know is a panic attack. Never experienced one in my life. Didn't know what it was. So like I thought I was dying. So like I had my water on the table. Everything's fading to black as I'm looking at my guest, and I'm like, this isn't right. And then I reach to go get a sip of water. I can't even move my hands from underneath the table. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm just gonna black out, and I'm gonna wake up, and they're gonna tell me what happened. But I thought I was having a heart attack.
Oh, God.
I woke up there like, yeah, dude, like you're not sleeping, you're not eating well, you're traveling every weekend.
Yeah.
Take a couple weeks off. And I'm like, I was able to get into a routine, everything felt great, and all of a
Right.
sudden you're recharged, everything feels great again.
It's the best.
Well, we live in like that culture where it's like grind. If you're not working,
Yeah.
20 hours a day, and like sometimes you have to, but it's finding that balance. You're more productive when you're like, you know what, I need 8 hours of sleep tonight.
Well
Making
rested.
time for the gym. I know we
Yeah.
both bond over that too, like
Yeah.
taking care of our health, and you have to,
Correct.
prioritize those things, or you're not going to be productive in the things that you need to be.
Yeah.
You're not as efficient in dental. The Mel Media stuff isn't running as smoothly because you're
Yeah.
not all present. You're not all there. So
Yeah.
I feel like the grind culture in the U.S. is
Oh my god.
excessive.
Not even like the
It is excessive.
celebrities out there today, but it's like the business/entrepreneurial people that have like blown up on social media
Right.
will tell you like sleeps for wimps and sleep,
Yeah.
like don't do that. It's like,
I
well,
love my 8
like I'm
hours.
not gonna, so like we're just gonna drive ourselves into the ground, because like there's some people that'll be like, if you're making $500,000 a year, like that's pathetic. And I'm like, it's a pretty good living right there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
right?
be necessarily,
Good.
like I guess you could always make more, but
Yeah.
to say like, oh, you can't live off of that, maybe you can. I feel like that's a pretty good. Income.
Yeah,
Or like
right.
social media almost lies to you in that sense.
People
But you
Oh,
gotta watch out for it.
absolutely.
That's all it's
Yeah.
highlight reel.
Yeah. And those people are the people that still get 6 to 8 hours of sleep. They're just like saying that, I swear.
Right.
Right? They all
Like,
look
I know some
great.
of those people.
Like perfect tan.
Yeah.
Like everything. Like you can't operate if you're not sleeping at least
No.
5 hours. I feel like when you get older, I feel like 5-6 hours you can almost operate on. But
Have you ever like read something the next day and you're like, what the heck was I trying to say? Like when I don't have enough sleep, like I'll read like emails and I'm like, okay, Mel, you need to not send emails when you're tired. Like, it's not working out for you. So no, it's super important. If I
Oh.
could give advice to anybody, get at least a minimum 6 hours, and it will make a big difference.
I look back at half of my text messages and I'm like, that's not right. Like, what's that word? I've never
I know,
heard
right?
of that word
It's
before.
like all awkward, like they didn't text
It's like
back.
I thought
You're like, that's not
yeah.
what I meant.
It's like, oh, I thought I was a great communicator.
Yeah.
That's not. That's the toughest thing I think in this space of building your own stuff is communication with people.
Yes.
You guys find it frustrating when people just flat out do not respond when it comes to certain things?
Tori knows me. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm huge on communication, and as my team knows, like I'm like over communicate versus don't communicate at all. So like even from the model agency to how we email, we have a team meeting every Wednesday. We Zoom. Like communications, I think is what makes you successful in anything, relationships, friendships, business. So yeah.
I've had, even with you, honestly, like I invited you to come on, you responded whenever,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, then I just kind of forgot about it. And then you
Yeah.
reached back out, I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, at least she's being intentional about it, and then you move forward from there. But it's like, I've had guests where I almost, like, they would, like, text me 5 minutes before, just being like, oh, totally forgot, can we reschedule?
Oh
like,
my God.
I've been to Vegas before
no.
where I flew in and all my guests canceled, and I was just there
Yeah.
for a weekend. I'm like, oh, I gotta make the most of it, maybe, like,
Yeah.
schedule other people last minute. And, like, those are the parts of it where you think, like, oh, I don't think a lot of people would be able to put up with this.
How often would you say that happens?
It's happened 3 times this year. So what, that's 6 months? 3 times in 6 months. However, I go in with the expectation that it could happen.
Right.
It's like, what am I gonna do? Like, they canceled, they're not coming.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit here and complain about it. Like,
Yeah.
find a plan B.
So,
It's like I have
yeah.
enough people I could call and be like, hey, do you know so-and-so would be interested in coming on? And then those are honestly the best interviews sometimes. People you didn't expect to hang out with.
Yeah,
You get
that's
dinner
true.
afterwards, like, oh, now we're friends.
Right.
Like, that was worth it.
Yeah.
But it's tough. Like, you have to have that mindset of knowing, like, okay,
That's so true.
shit could hit the fan here. You can't lose your shit over it though, or else you're just gonna.
Control things that you can control and
Yeah.
just
Go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have the
Yeah.
expectation movement. It's like, okay, this person could flake at the last minute. Now I have that expectation of them. It stinks, but it's like now I
That's
know.
true. And these are probably people you've never met before,
Exactly.
right?
Which is
so
the
you
tough
just have
part,
no
yeah.
idea to read them. Like, okay, they seem like they'll show up, but I'm not too sure. Yeah.
oh, there's some people like over text, they're great, and then you
Yeah.
see them in person, I'm like, wow, you're nothing like, you seem very nice over text. You're not that nice. Where like it's the opposite, where I'm like, oh, this person kind of seems cold. Hopefully they're cool and they're like the coolest person in person. That's why I love like face-to-face interviews. I did so many Zoom stuff, the like 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
And it's like we need to do all face-to-face moving forward, even if I have to travel there, because like you can actually read someone's body language, like actually build a good rapport and relationship with people, as opposed to Zoom being like, all right, that was the end of the interview, bye, click, never hear from them again.
That is so true, and I feel like text messages can be so misleading too. Like you're just not really sure. Like what did you mean by that? The tone, yeah. Like or like if you get it like in like grind mode, I'm just like answering text messages really quick, and it may seem like short and simple, and you're like, God, Mal's being something else today, and really I was just like trying to get my checklist done, you know.
Oh,
and so yeah, I can see that.
That's before we came on, Mel was saying that you've retained relationships with all of your exes. Like on the topic of communication, like that's tough.
You know, and I get this a lot, but most of my friends and other people are like, why do you keep a relationship with your exes and this and that? And it's like, not that I like try to, it's just, this is how I look at it. Obviously, right when you break up with somebody, you know, you're not like buddy right away. But over time, you know, I become friends with them again, and I realized like you obviously dated them for a reason, and you know, maybe it wasn't for that, but you had a relationship, you had good times, you know, you had like a fun time with them or whatever. And so like, and some people I was like, you know what, I just realized like you're just a really good friend, not my other half at all, you know, I'm sorry. And they respect that, and then they got married and found somebody, and so like, yeah, and I have to say, I have a lot of exes that live here. Some are my patients.
Nice.
You know, and so, you know, my husband is not weird about that. You know, he's more of like, if you're open about it and like introduce me to your friends, you know, we're good. Also, I have a lot of guy friends. I grew up, probably can't tell, super tomboy. I played sports.
It says
my
it in
whole
your
life.
Instagram profile. I'm like,
Oh,
tomboy.
you read it.
Technically I'm a journalist, so I had to do my homework a little bit. But
yeah, so being a tomboy majority of my life, or still a tomboy, I have a lot of guy friends, and I always warn my other half. I'm like, I have guy friends because I make you feel comfortable, and some of them are like a little bit. And my fiance is like, let me just meet them, and they're my husband. And so he, you know, he was like, I love all your guy friends. Like, this is amazing. And he's like, I have new friends now too, and so.
New friends, new clients, which is always good for you guys.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of my exes I still do business with, or we have one another's back, or we refer people to one another. You know, I think if you use all that energy to hold a grudge or to hate somebody or talk about them, like it's a waste. You know what I mean?
Waste.
It's like, God, how can you do that forever?
What's the point of burning bridges like that? Unless they're so toxic where it's like, okay, you serve no purpose to me whatsoever, and you're not open to that.
Yeah.
But I've dated girls where it's like, okay, it didn't work out, but like, you're business-minded, I'm business-minded, we've collaborated on some things, and it's like you stay in touch, and some people look at that like you're crazy, some people are like, no, I get it, you know? And I'm the same way in the sense of, like, you have a lot of guy friends. I live with 3 girls. So it's like if I bring someone home, it's like, oh, you're meeting my 3 other roommates. Like, that's not always something that's attractive to some people, right?
She's getting like judged.
And I always,
like, oh God.
It's like, yeah, I didn't like this about her. It's like there was something, the way she, it's not the way she, it's like the way she said this one thing, and I'm like, I don't know. And of course, half of it goes over my head.
I can see that, yeah.
But they're good.
Are they right most of the time?
Yeah, I've been friends with them a lot where it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I'll look out for it. I can make my own decisions, but it's like,
yeah.
Where it's like they bring home the worst guys too, so I can be like, God,
right?
he was awful. But they don't listen to me. I'll listen to them. They don't listen to me.
You need to like do the reverse psychology type thing and tell them
he's
the
great.
opposite.
It's like,
yeah,
I don't think he's that great. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah, they brought home great guys too. They're like, I don't know if it's gonna work out. I'm like, well, this is like the 1 out of 10 that you've brought back that I actually like think is good
I know,
for you.
right?
And it's tough, like having like the business mindset behind it too. I'm like, you should be with someone who like is gonna raise you up, not someone that like you have to chase. You know,
Yeah.
like they have like what is it, Hinge? Is that an app?
I've heard of it.
A dating app? See, the thing is, I don't do dating apps either. Where it's like Hinge. Tinder's the one everybody knows.
There's another one, isn't there? It's like a newer one.
There's one, I forget the name of it, but it's like the girl has to make the first move, and I think that's like the dumbest thing ever. Bumble. Yeah, so it's like the girls have to make the first move, which I think is like, it's just gonna be nothing but cowardly guys who can't make the first move for themselves.
Yeah.
So have you never been on a dating app?
Never. Well, they made one for me once, and I just like scrolled through it, but I never used it. But I don't like. I'm a storyteller. I'm a journalist. I like having conversations. I don't want my story to be, oh, we met on Tinder, or we met at a bar. You know, I feel like that's so basic.
Yeah.
I don't know if you met your husband at a bar, but
No, I didn't. We have a funny story. So like
That's good.
it was through a mutual best friend. But like, so I just got out of a relationship, and my best friend was like, hey, come to dinner, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, I don't want to go. He's like, you better get here. I'm like, fine. So I wear like a black hat, super low. Like you could tell like I'm cut off. Like I don't want to talk to anybody. Just got a relationship. Sitting out, he said tacos. I was like, I'm there. And so I got there, we were eating, and like this guy came in with like a bunch of girls. And my first, reaction was like, okay, another Scottsdale douchebag. Okay, and so then I heard he was a dentist. I'm like, sure he is. And so then like the next day, my best friend's like, oh my God, he's like, he thought you were so cute. I'm like, I had a hat on and a ponytail. Like what? And then he was consistent. He just kept like trying to take me out and blah blah blah. And then finally, I was like, okay, like we'll meet at the W. Like we're all going loungy, listening to music. And then we just kind of hit it off. I think finally when I put down that like douchebag look, it was actually just this. He was going through, a phase, and then we actually connected really well. And then I kind of tested him to see if he was really a dentist, and he was.
Oh, of course. After a while, it's just like, are you all talk?
Yeah.
But he was pleasantly persistent. That's good.
Yeah. So.
Like I said, communication is key.
Oh, 100%.
Like if you're chasing someone and they're not texting you back, that's what I do with the girls all the time, right? They'll be like, well, maybe he just had something going on that day. I'm like, no. Like I'm a guy. I know.
Yeah.
I know how guys' brains operate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Have a little bit more self-respect, but that's good. He was persistent.
He was.
You got to know him, and
he's like, I knew what I wanted. He's like, I don't do that, and I just, and I was like, you're crazy. Same story. I mean, put it this way: we started dating, and I flew out to Jamaica for a model shoot, right? Barely dating, not even dating, just talking. I don't know what the stage you call it now, right? And I was like, okay, if this guy likes me, he'll fly out to Jamaica. Keep in mind, he has patience, in a few days. And everyone's like, ask him, and he did. He flew out, canceled his patience for a couple of days. It gets better. Then the day he was landing, I was taking a boat out with all the models. We were going on this yacht, just going around having a party. And I was like, well, by the time you land, you're not going to be able to see me for a few hours. We're going to be in the middle of the ocean. He goes, give me your location. And I'm like, okay. So I give him my location. This crazy man, he asked somebody to get him on a boat and find me in the ocean. I'm not even kidding.
Oh my gosh, I never knew this.
Yeah, no one really knows this story. And so he followed my location on his little fine friend and came up to two boats, and he's like, which one would Mel be on? He had one shot, right? There was one with more music, there was a mellow one. He's like, it's the music one. So he jumps on the yacht, and sure enough, there I am, and everyone's like, there was no boyfriends allowed or whatever, but they were like, dude, you found her in the middle of the ocean. You're allowed to be on the boat. Like, let's do this. And I was like,
let's see how this turns out.
I was like, okay, we can date now.
Yeah, people are making bets if it's going to work out or not.
Yeah, so yeah.
Oh, you have to. Someone that's willing to just bend over backwards like that.
I mean, almost find me in the ocean. It's not working out.
Or it's a no.
See, that's so much better than, we met at a bar, right? Or it's like, we matched on Bumble.
Yeah. Well, I feel so judgy on the apps too. You're like, no. Like, why are you holding up a fish in your profile photo?
You're like, I like to
Please
fish.
Stop. Yeah. I just feel so judgy. And
I'm a man's man. You want to have that one picture.
Like, I'm good.
Like I'm building the deck in my backyard.
Or the guys with the shirtless gym ones. I don't know what it is. I hate those. Well, not that I've never been on a dating app in my life.
Well, good on you guys, because there's a lot of people that absolutely just melt over those pictures.
Really?
And I'm just like, come on.
My girlfriend, I live through my friends on those. I've never been on an app in my life.
Yeah.
And so they show me, and I'm like, does that work for you? Okay. But I don't know.
Yeah. And then they meet them, and they flake. They're not good dudes.
Or that wasn't even really what they look like, so I don't know.
Oh, that's the best. That's the best when they show up for the date, and it's like, they got catfish.
Totally catfish.
Went on one Hinge date, and this guy wasn't really he was who he said he was, physically and stuff, but his personality didn't match his profile, and was stalking me afterwards. So I'm like, no more.
Oh, God,
he would not leave me alone. He came into my work, and I'm like, this
Really?
is borderline creepy.
Yeah.
We're done with this.
That's like restraining order almost.
Yeah.
It's
Like you got to work on yourself at that point.
Yeah. You'd be surprised though how much that stuff happens.
And that is my biggest fear.
Yeah.
I don't trust anybody. I grew up with, my dad's a cop, so I grew up with a cop, so I feel like I have all these stories growing up. I'm the person that before I get to my car, I check my back seat. You just this world's so crazy, you know? You just never know. But
You always had good instincts. That's good.
Yeah.
Where some of us have to learn it over and over again, right?
Right, the hard way.
Yeah.
So you were on Hinge at one point.
My friends talked me into it. They still
That's
try to
usually
talk
how it
me
works
into
out.
Right,
it.
yeah.
And I've had some friends that have gotten married off of it. Like my friend that I was just
This
in
is
Ohio
true.
with, she got married and they're happily married,
Yeah.
both normal people, like
For sure.
friends
Yeah.
of there, but it's just, I don't think it's for me. I like the organic,
Yeah.
meeting someone, and I like to feel people's energy, their personality, see if you vibe. And
Also, like on paper, it's like, oh, I do this, that, and that. Where someone might be like, oh, wow, she lives a very interesting life. But then you find out that you can't keep up with it at all.
right. Or
Especially
there's
when you're just traveling and
Yeah.
you're just, I'm going to be here this day. Oh, I got to wake up at 3 a.m. this day and do this.
Yeah.
Or some people just don't live their life like that.
It's true. I dated someone that was like, I was like, let's go like up north this weekend, which is not even crazy. And he's like, no, we have to plan this out. I need to know like a month ahead. I'm like, to go up north for the weekend? I was like, this is not gonna work. And then he's like, we were younger then, and he's like, I'm not doing a tent. Like, I don't even know how to put up a tent. I was like, I can show you. Like, I don't know. And so, yeah,
That's
it's
not
bad.
good.
And I've showed a boyfriend before I had to put up a tent. It's okay at night with the truck lights on so I could see. I grew up with brothers. It is what it is.
Just brothers? Do you have any sisters?
Yeah, actually, I grew up with brothers my whole life until high school. Then my dad adopted my brother and sister while I was in high school. So they're like my siblings slash like I feel like my own kids.
Yeah,
you know.
with the age difference.
Yeah, and so like
That's fun.
they would jump in my bed during nightmares and just like I don't know. So we were really close. But,
That's always good though.
Yeah.
That's a unique relationship to have.
yeah.
Like,
I
what's
love
the
them.
age difference like? Is it almost like
They're
an 18
like
year?
21. Oh well, God, I'm giving out my age. Let's see here, like 10 plus difference.
Nice.
10 year plus, yeah.
Wow. And that's unique. I won't ask you how old you are on air, but
Oh, I guess I don't really care. I'm turning 33 this month.
that's not
so-
bad at all.
I know. I
You
just
made
feel
it seem like it was gonna be like way older. Like I
I'm
gotta
like,
give
I'm
away my
almost
age
50.
now. It's like that's not
Tell
bad
me
at
your
all.
secrets.
I know, right? I know. Well, we were shooting last weekend. They're like, you're 25. And I'm like, I'll take it. Okay.
On it,
But,
30 is the new 20 anyways.
I
As long as
feel-
you're taking care of yourself.
Right? I feel better in my 30s. I'm not gonna lie. And I know people used to tell me that, like, oh, your 30s, you're in prime. I'm like, sure. You're just saying that because you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
But no, like, I don't know. I love my 30s.
Yeah. Oh, the 30s are like your 20s, but now you have a ton of money.
Yeah,
right?
like you like
can actually
you
do
know
the
who
projects.
you are. You know what you want. Yeah. I agree.
Like as long as you're smart with it, you actually can afford to invest in all the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And now you're surrounded by all those people that want to do it with you. As opposed to like in your 20s, you're finding it out, how to figure out how to financially support your goals. Still
Yeah.
trying to kind of figure out who you are, if you haven't
Yeah.
figured that out already.
Right. I know. And I feel like you're always learning more about yourself, anyways. But for the most part, yeah.
How old are you, Torey?
How do you think I am?
I 27.
Oh, no, 29.
Okay, I was close.
Dirty 30
Yeah.
this year.
Dirty 30.
Wow, 30. Is that like anxiety, or are you excited to turn 30?
I'm excited. Yeah, I feel like age doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter
It's
at
how
all.
you feel. Like I
Yeah,
feel great.
so
Every year
true.
gets better. Like and like you said, I feel like everyone talks about looking forward to their 30s, and
Yeah.
I feel like I've made a lot of big life changes last year, and like even continuing to this year that I'm excited for it. So going to Cabo.
Nice.
That's what I'm
Cabo's
excited
nice.
for.
Cabo's
Cabo's
the
really
best.
nice.
Yeah.
You got to make a
Cabo.
big deal about 30
Oh,
too.
yeah.
30, 40, 50.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Like 20, you can't really do much.
Yeah.
25, maybe, if
Yeah.
you're with the right people. But
You
30
can rent
is a
a
big
car
deal.
now more so when you turn
Uh-huh.
25.
I never even realized that. Last time I went to Nashville, I was at an enterprise trying to rent a car. They're
Yeah.
like, "You're 24, you can't." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like I can drive. Like
Yeah, I've been
when I
driving
turned
for a while.
18, I got my license. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, in New Jersey, you get your license at 18.
Oh,
because
I
they
didn't
don't
know
trust
that. I
us.
didn't know that either.
So lame. That's why I moved here.
Oh.
Treat us like babies. We're not allowed to pump our own gas either. I didn't pump my first gallon of gas till I was 19 years old.
I actually wouldn't mind that. You mean like someone pumps it for you?
Yeah, they take your card, they pump it for
Oh, I'd be
you.
good with that. I don't want to touch
they give
it,
people
it's
jobs.
gross for me.
But I remember being on a road trip out in San Diego. They're like, "All right, it's your turn to pump the gas jack, pay for it, whatever." I got out of the car. I'm like, "Oh, I've actually never done this before." But I was trying to figure it out. Like,
Can you
Diesel
can you
in
help?
it.
Oh my God, I know, right?
oh, I made that mistake once
Oh
too.
my God.
It wasn't fitting in correctly though, so I'm like, "What's going on?" Like, I was at it for like 10 minutes, and I asked the guy next to me, I'm like, "Is there something wrong with the handles or whatever?" He's like, "That's diesel. Like, you want to use this one right here." And I'm like, "Oh." Okay. And it was just a nothing but like a truck gas station where it was nothing but diesel, so I had to drive somewhere else on like two miles left till empty.
Is that just a Jersey thing? The
Jersey,
gas, or-
Jersey and Oregon, I found out, the only two states.
Learn something new every day.
I know, but I remember I'm like panicking. I'm like, I don't want to knock on the window right now and be like, hey, can you help me do this? I've never done this before in my life. They're like, what are you talking
Or like
about?
entitled, like young kids.
I know,
is
right?
what
When
they
you
were
pump my
thinking.
Just
gas.
privilege with like my Gucci belt, my
Yeah, I
Louis
know.
Vuitton shoes. It's like, I've never done this before. Can you guys help me out right now?
That's funny.
I know. I've never heard of that. That's
I know.
great.
It's like that. We got our permit at 17, license at 18. Weren't allowed to pump our own gas. And then I come out here. I'm like, everybody's getting their permit at 15. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, driving definitely by 15. Well, supposed to be driving, but
Well, we grew up in the country. We were
Yeah.
driving by like 10.
Yeah.
Pickup
Oh yeah,
trucks,
like your parents
tractors,
teach it. It's like sitting on their lap. You're like, yeah, just
Yeah.
learn.
yeah, we'll go to grandma's acres. Like, all right, go
Right.
have fun. All right, all right.
Uh-huh. Learn how to drive four-wheelers and you're like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
how you learn how to drive.
All right.
That's the best.
All right. Do you, because you grew up around here, so you always had the privilege of nice weather all the time. Was weather a factor for you when you came out here, or was it more so just work and collaborating with people?
In terms of like, just
Like 10
transition.
degrees and you're just shivering and everybody's in a bad mood and you don't want to be
Yeah.
around those
I
people.
hate
Don't wanna be
it.
cold.
That's why
So
I
I
left.
was done with
Yeah.
Ohio with the cold. Like I will take the 110 degree weather, sunny. I mean, you never have to wipe sunshine off
Yeah.
your windshield.
I
They say.
know. Thank God.
Like I'm over the days where we were poor in college and we're taking pots and pans to shovel off our cars of snow because we can't even get them
I
out
would be
of the.
so grumpy in the morning.
It was awful.
Oh, I would wake up some mornings just like, I don't want to,
Yeah.
like, everybody's in a bad mood. Nobody looks well. Everybody looks sick.
Right. Well, and then going on to Ohio State, the campus is huge. You have to walk 30 minutes to class, and the wind chill is like -10, and you're walking through snow. It was, I don't miss it.
There was some mornings in high school where like I'd have to catch the bus down the street, and my driveway is one of those where it's like slanted up, and there's just ice everywhere. So I'd have to walk down, and I just slip and fall, and I'm on my back, and I hear the bus like coming. I'm like, I guess I'm driving in today. I'm like, I had to walk back in and be like, Dad, can you drive me? It's like, oh, you slip again?
Oh my
Yeah. It was like a normal occurrence, a couple times a week. I'm like, well, I'm just not going to miss the bus because I just broke my back trying to walk down the driveway for the
Right.
115th time.
Well, everybody here too is like, did you have to put like chains on your tires, or how did
Yeah.
you? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you have like snow tires, and they plow the roads. You're not just like stuck
Four-wheel
in-
drive.
Yeah.
It's like if you're
Yeah.
not driving something that's four-wheel drive.
Such like
you're
a
not-
Right.
California, Arizona thing.
There-
Get your chains.
I'm like, no, like we don't drive snowmobiles around. Like they plow the roads.
Yeah.
I know how we picture it. That's
Yeah.
so true. Wait, so do you have family here?
None. So I was
all
like
back?
you. I moved here with not a soul
Uh-huh.
that I knew. First person I ever met out here in college turned out to be my best friend for life. Still, he's in the Air Force now. He used to live with me with the girls, and then he left me. But he's like, I visited him in Austin last week. He's just one of those maniacs that like runs 10 miles a day.
Oh gosh.
Like we were doing
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing called the Murph Challenge for
I've heard of-
Memorial
I've
Day,
heard
where
of
it's like you
that.
wear a 40-pound vest, and then you have to do 300 squats, 200 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, and then run another mile with this vest on.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys, like afterwards we're all puking. He's like, all right, let's just go on a 5-mile jog just as a
No big
reward
deal.
for our hard work. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're going home.
Did you complete it?
Oh, I did.
Wow. That's
I
awesome.
did. We did it for 9 weeks leading up every single Friday. And they call me Yacky Jackie because I would puke
Yacky
almost
Jackie.
every single time.
You're like changing the contact in my cell phone, Yaki Jackie.
So funny.
Oh, like 4 a.m. I hear my alarm go off. I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. But it's like, it's good for me, you know?
Yeah.
It'll make me better. We're doing this
for
thing
you.
called the Ragnar Race. It's a 200-mile run across the coast of Southern California, start in San Diego all the way to Huntington Beach. It's like a 3-day thing.
Wow, that's
Where
a
it's like
long
you run
distance.
20 miles, tag a friend in,
Yeah.
you drive, like you're driving alongside them while you're driving or running the coast of California. And I'm very, very nervous about that.
Oh,
But
wow. Wait, when are you doing that?
this is in November.
We should film that.
So the
with you
plan is
guys.
to start the 75 hard, which is the first form Andy Frisella thing
Right.
in September. Do that run, and then complete the 75-day hard on Thanksgiving Day, so we could just feast out.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm down. I
Yeah.
would probably hate it in the
Yeah.
moment, but that's what makes you grow too. It's like you do the things that you hate.
Too, right?
You
You're
do the
like-
things that you hate, and they just feel awful. And then when you're done with them, it's like, oh, I needed that. Whether that's like work in fitness or whether that's in business, right? Dealing with certain people, it's like, oh, you come out the other end way better, well more equipped.
Yeah.
You know you could handle it in the future. But we'll see what happens. I think we're getting shirts that say Yaki Jackie, so
Oh, I love
I get to
that.
brand it a little bit.
We're gonna
Like-
get a shirt.
Yeah.
We're gonna support you.
Let me like a Jack Daniels bottle or something. It'll look cool.
Yeah, keep
Market it
Jackie.
well. Like if anything, I can
Like
get some good
holding it.
promotion on social media.
Right?
You know,
I love that.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting.
So do you have siblings? Like, are you?
So I got one sister who lives in Boston, one brother who lives in Nashville. Like I said, she's 10 months younger than me. My brother's 2 years younger than me. So we were just running, wreaking havoc growing up on our parents.
Yeah.
Just like three babies screaming, pulling each other's hair. I used to have hair as long as yours
No
growing
way.
up, which is like really cool. I regret cutting it, but I'm at the point now where it's like I can't
Like,
really
let's
do it
see
anymore.
this. Long hair, don't care.
Long hair, it was so nice too. I look back and think like, why did I ever cut it? I just felt like I'm gonna cut it short and tried to grow it long again. Let me find a good picture for you. I mean, they're all good, but
I feel like siblings are fun though. When you grow up, you have like so many stories.
Right.
You know.
oh yeah.
Oh
So
my
it was
god.
like Thor. It was like Thor long, right?
Oh
You
my
have
gosh.
pretty hair. Why'd you cut it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I
No, I
did.
get like
Got
so angry
it.
when men have better hair than us.
I
I'm
know.
like-
And lashes. You're
Yes.
like, God, I gotta pay
That's
for
like you have all the
this.
product too that I had to throw
Yeah.
away. I'm like, I don't need this anymore.
I
Or
know,
the
right?
skincare thing, you guys use like apricot scrub and have
That's
like
right.
glowing, beautiful skin. I have like a 12-step routine, and I'm like,
Uh,
make it make sense.
I know, right?
Right.
Seriously.
And I threw all of it away. I'm like, well, I guess I could, because I never really knew how to work short hair. I had like all these different styles. I went bald last summer, so I didn't know it. I'm like, it's short enough, it'll grow back quick, so I'm gonna do
Yeah.
a buzz cut.
Yeah.
And I was legitimately like, I'd ask for like a 0, and then I would shave the rest just to see what like
Just-
bald looked like. I'm like, I'm pulling it off. Had like a giant beard.
Awesome.
I'm like, I've never tried. I'm one of those guys where it's like I change my look all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People never get used to me because they're like, oh, you look different today.
Yeah.
Especially, I'll post